The Prodigies of the Blessed Virgin Mary, Series 17. Volume 33, May 14, 1935. The one who does the divine will has no need of the law. The one who lives in it gives work to all, to the Celestial Father, to the Celestial Mother, and also to Jesus. I am in the arms of my adorable divine volition, though immersed in the pain of the privation of my blessed Jesus. Hours are centuries without him. What pain! What a continuous death, with no pity and no mercy. Justly does he punish me, because too ungrateful and uncorresponding have I been. But oh, please, my love, hide my miseries inside your wounds. Cover me with your blood. I unite my pains to yours, that they may cry out together pity, forgiveness, over this poor creature. But without you, I can endure no more. But while I was pouring out my sorrow, my sweet Jesus moved to compassion for my long martyrdom, like flash that escapes, made me his brief little visit and told me, "My blessed daughter, do not become alarmed. My divine will places everything in your power, in such a way that you can say, 'Everything is mine.' My pains, my wounds, my blood, everything is yours. So you, Luisa, have no need to ask me for them, but take them to use them for your needs. This is so true that the one in whom my divine will reigns has no need of the law, but feels within herself her own nature changed into divine law. Just as by nature she feels the force of her breath, of her heartbeat, so does she feel the force of the law as substantial to her life. And since my law is law of love, of sanctity, of order, thus she feels within herself the nature of love, of sanctity, of order. Wherever my will reigns, its love is so great that it transforms the goods it wants to give to the creature into her very nature, that she may be the owner of them. No one can take them away from her, and I myself make myself the custodian of the gifts in nature conceded to this creature." Sweet Jesus became silent, and my mind kept swimming in the sea of the divine will. And resuming his speech, he added, "My daughter, you must know that the one who lives in my will gives every one work to do. My celestial Father, seeing his creature in his divine volition, places himself around her to form the work of his image and likeness. More so, since finding his will in her, he finds the adaptable material suitable to receive his work, to form the most beautiful image that resembles him. And oh, his contentment, for with his work he can produce his own images. She gives work to the Celestial Mother, because finding my divine will in the creature, she finds the one who keeps her company, who receives her maternity as daughter. She finds the one to whom she can communicate her fecundity, her acts done in my volition. She finds the one in whom she can form her model and her faithful copy. And oh, the contentment of the Celestial Mother, her zealous work, her cares, her maternal attentions, as she can act as true mother and give her inheritance. And since the will of the mother and of the daughter are one, she can make herself understood and place her graces, her love, her sanctity in common. In her work she feels happy, because she finds the one who courts her, who resembles her, and lives of her same divine will. Those who live in it are her favorite daughters, her beloved ones, her secretaries. It can be said that by virtue of my divine volition, they possess a powerful magnet that attracts the gazes of this celestial mother so much that she cannot move them away from upon them. And the great lady, to keep this creature safe, works by placing around her her virtues, her sorrows, her love, and the very life of her Son. But this is not all. I, your Jesus, as I see that the soul has put her will aside to live of mine, I get down to work in order to form my members. My head is holy, and I feel the need for holy members upon which to place my head, and therefore be able to communicate its virtue to them. And who can ever form for me these holy members, if not my will? Therefore my work is incessant for the one who lives in my will. It can be said that I put myself on guard, inside and outside of her, so that no one may enter and interrupt my work. And in order to form these members, I repeat the work of being newly conceived, in order to regenerate them. I am reborn, in order to make them be reborn. I cry, I suffer, I preach, I die, to communicate my vital and divine humors to these members, that they may be fortified and divinized, worthy of my head most holy. And oh, my contentment, that though I am working, I repeat my life, and I form the repeaters of it. What would I not do and give in the one who lives in my will? My will encloses me in the creature, to let me work and make me form members worthy of my creative hands. And as the soul receives my work, I feel happy and repaid of the work of creation and redemption. Now the angels, the saints, in seeing the celestial Father, the sovereign Queen, and their King, all intent on working in this creature, they too want to help us in the work, and lining themselves up around the fortunate creature, they work by defending her. They drive away the enemies. They free her from dangers, and form walls of fortitude, so that no one may bother her. See then how the one who lives in my divine will gives work to all, and all occupy themselves with her. Volume 33, June 6, 1935. How the one who lives in the will of God holds God himself in his power. The Queen of Heaven makes her round around all nations to bring her children to safety. My poor mind continues its flight in the interminable light of the divine volition. There is not one thing, either in heaven or on earth, which is not a birth from it, and everything and every one have something to say about the one who generated them. Even more, they never tire of narrating its eternal origin, its unreachable sanctity, its love that always generates, without ever ceasing, its fiat that always speaks, speaks to the mind, speaks in the heart, speaks on the tongue, and now it speaks with articulate voices, now with moans, now in supplication, now with might, now with such sweetness as to touch the hardest and most obstinate hearts. My God, what power does your will contain? Oh, please, make it so that I may live always of it. But while I was thinking this, my sweet Jesus, making me his brief little visit with an unspeakable goodness, told me, "My daughter, my will, it is everything. It does everything. It gives everything. Who could ever say he has not received everything from it? You must know that the creature herself possesses so much of sanctity, for as much as she is in order, in relationship with my will. She elevates to union with God in so far as she is united with it. Her value, her merits, are measured by the relations she has kept with my will. So the whole foundation, the basis, the substance, the origin of the goods in the creature depend upon how many acts she has done of my will, and on how much she knows of it. Hence, if in all of her acts she has let my will enter, she can say, everything is holy, everything is pure and divine in me. And we can give her everything, even our life, in her power. On the other hand, if she has done nothing of my will and knows nothing, we have nothing to give her, because she deserves nothing, because she lacks the seed to be able to generate the good that belongs to us. Therefore, she has no right to receive the pay from her celestial Father. If she has not worked in our field, we can say, I do not know you. So if she has done nothing, or not even something of my will, heaven is closed for the creature. She has no right to the celestial fatherland. This is the reason why we insist so much that our will be done always, that it be known, because we want to populate heaven with our beloved children, and since everything came out of us, we want everything to return into our divine bosom. Then after this, I continued to think of the divine will, and I prayed that it would hurry, and with its omnipotence that can do anything, surpass all the obstacles and make its kingdom come, and its will reign on earth as it does in heaven. But while I was thinking of this, before my mind, my sweet Jesus showed so many gloomy and horrifying things, in the face of which even the hardest hearts were shaken, and the most obstinate were floored. Everything was terror and fright. I remained so afflicted as to feel myself dying, and I prayed that he would hold back so many scourges. And my beloved Jesus, as though having pity on my affliction, told me, My daughter, courage. Everything shall serve for the triumph of my will. If I strike, it is because I want to restore. My love is so great that when I cannot win by way of love and of graces, I try to win by way of terror and fright. The human weakness is such that many times it pays no heed to my graces. It plays deaf to my voice. It laughs at my love. But it is enough to touch its flesh, or take away the things necessary to the natural life, that it lowers its pride. It feels so humiliated as to become a rag, and I make of it whatever I want. Especially if they do not have a perfidious and obstinate will, a chastisement is enough, seeing themselves on the brink of the sepulchre, that they return into my arms. You must know that I always love my children, my beloved creatures. I would turn myself inside out so as not to see them struck, so much so that in the gloomy times that are coming, I have placed them all in the hands of my celestial mamma. To her have I entrusted them, that she may keep them for me under her safe mantle. I shall give her all those whom she shall want. Even death shall have no power over those who shall be in the custody of my mamma. Now, while he was saying this, my dear Jesus showed me with facts how the sovereign queen descended from heaven with an unspeakable majesty and a tenderness fully maternal. And she made her round around in the midst of creatures throughout all nations. And she marked her dear children, and those who were not to be touched by the scourges. Whomever my celestial mamma touched, the scourges had no power to touch those creatures. Sweet Jesus gave to his mamma the right to bring to safety whomever she pleased. How moving it was to see the celestial empress making her round around to all places of the world, taking creatures in her maternal hands, holding them close to her breast, hiding them under her mantle, so that no evil could harm those whom her maternal goodness kept in her custody, sheltered and defended. Oh, if all could see with how much love and tenderness the celestial queen performed this office, They would cry of consolation, and would love she who so much loves us. Volume 33, July 8, 1935. Inseparability of the one who lives in the divine will with her Creator. The Queen of Heaven, together with Jesus, in instituting the most holy sacrament. The children of the divine will shall be suns and stars that shall crown the celestial sovereign. It seems to me that I cannot find rest if I do not abandon myself in the arms of the divine will, which flings me into its endless sea, where I find what it did for love of the creatures. And now I pause at one point, now at another, of its multiple works, and I admire them, I love them, I kiss them, and I thank the divine will for such great magnificence, and so many loving industries toward us, miserable creatures. But while making my round, to my surprise, I found myself before the great lady, our Queen and Mother, the most beautiful work of the Sacrosanct Trinity. I remained here, contemplating her, but I have no words to be able to say what I comprehended. And my beloved Jesus, with an unspeakable sweetness and love, told me, "My daughter, how beautiful is my mamma! Her empire extends everywhere. Her beauty enraptures and chains all. There is not one being that does not bend its knees to venerate her. So was she made for me by my divine will. It made her inseparable from me, in such a way that there was no act I did that the sovereign queen did not do together with me. The power of that divine fiat, pronounced by me and by her, which made me be conceived in her virginal womb, giving life to my humanity, that fiat, always identical, and each time I operated, the divine fiat of my mother held the right within my divine fiat to do what I was doing. Now, you must know that when I instituted the sacrament of the Eucharist, her divine fiat was together with mine, and together we pronounced the fiat that the bread and the wine be transubstantiated into my body, blood, soul, and divinity. Ah, just as in being conceived I wanted her fiat, so did I want it in this solemn act that gave origin to my sacramental life. Who would have had the heart to put my mamma aside in an act in which my love showed off with such exuberant excesses as to seem incredible? Rather, not only was she together with me, but I constituted her queen of the love of my sacramental life. And she, with love of true mother of mine, offered her womb to me again, her beautiful soul, to keep me defended and sheltered from the horrendous ingratitudes and enormous sacrileges which, alas, I would receive in this sacrament of love. My daughter, this is my purpose. I want my divine will to be life of the creature, so as to keep her together with me, to let her love with my love, operate in my works. In sum, it is the company of the creatures that I want in my acts. I do not want to be alone. And if it were not so, why call the creature into my will, if I were to remain an isolated God, and she alone, without taking part in our divine works? And not only in instituting the most holy sacrament, but in all the acts I did during the whole course of my life, by virtue of the one will by which we were animated. Whatever I did, my mamma did as well. If I performed miracles, she was together with me operating the prodigy. I felt in the power of my will the sovereign of heaven calling the dead to life together with me. If I suffered, she was together with me in pain. There was not one thing in which I did not have her company, and her operating and mine fused together. This was the greatest honor that my fiat gave her, the inseparability with her Son, the unity with his works, and it was the greatest glory that the Virgin attested to me, so much so that I placed and she received the deposit of the works done in her maternal heart, jealous in keeping even the breath. This unity of will and of works ignited such love between us as to be enough to set the whole entire world aflame and consume it with pure love. Jesus became silent, and I remained in the seas of the celestial sovereign. But who can say what I comprehended? And my highest good Jesus continued saying, "My daughter, how beautiful is my mamma! Her majesty is enchanting. Before her sanctity, the heavens lower themselves. Her riches are endless and incalculable. No one can be said to be similar to her. This is why she is lady, mother, and queen. But do you know what her riches are? Souls. Each soul is worth more than an entire world. No one enters into heaven if not through her, and by virtue of her maternity and of her sorrows. So each soul is a property of hers, and this is why indeed she can be given the name of true lady. See then how rich she is. Her riches are special, are full of lives, speaking, loving, singing the praises of the celestial lady. As mother she has her innumerable children. As queen she shall have her people of the kingdom of the divine will. These children and this people shall form her most refulgent crown, some as suns, others as stars. They shall crown her august head with such beauty as to enrapture the whole of heaven. So the children of the kingdom of my divine will shall be those who shall render to her the honors of queen, and transforming into sun, they shall form for her the most beautiful crown. This is why she longs intensely for the coming of this kingdom, because after her refulgent crown with which the most Holy Trinity crowned her, she awaits the crown of her people, who, proclaiming her queen, would offer to her their life transformed into sun as attestation of honor and of glory. Oh, if they comprehended what it means to live in my will, how many divine secrets would be revealed! How many discoveries they would make about their Creator. Therefore, be content with dying rather than not live in my will. Volume 33, July 14th, 1935. Certainty of the Kingdom of the Divine Will upon Earth. Mighty wind to purify the generations. The Queen of Heaven, placed at the head of this kingdom. My mind is always back into the interminable sea of the divine volition, which in murmuring smiles with love to the creature and wants her smiles of love. It does not want for her to remain behind and not give it tit for tat. Not doing what the divine will does while one lives in it is almost impossible. But who can say what the creature feels in this divine sea? The purity of its kisses, its chaste embraces, which infuse in her celestial peace, divine life, and such fortitude as to conquer God himself. Oh, how I would love for everyone to experience it, to come to live in this sea. Surely they would never again get out of it. But while I was thinking this, I said to myself, but who knows who shall see this kingdom of the divine Fiat when it comes? Oh, how difficult it seems. And my beloved Jesus, making me his brief little visit, told me, "My daughter, yet it shall come. You measure what is human, the sad times that enwrap the present generations, and this is why it seems difficult to you. But the Supreme Being holds the divine measures, which are so extensive that what seems impossible to the human is easy for us. We need to do nothing but a mighty wind, which shall be so strong that they shall let themselves be carried away by the currents of the wind, which shall purify the sickly air of the human will. It shall make a heap of all the sad things of these times, and shall disperse them like dust swept by a mighty wind. Our wind shall be so strong, mighty, and operative that it shall not be easy to resist it. More so, since its waves shall be crammed with graces, with light, with love, which shall drown the human generations, and they shall feel transformed. How many times a strong wind sweeps away entire cities and transports people, trees, soil, and water to other places, and perhaps far away, without their being able to oppose it. Much more so shall our divine wind do, wanted, decreed by us, and with our creative power. And besides, there is the Queen of Heaven, who with her empire prays continuously for the coming of the kingdom of the divine will upon earth. And when have we ever denied anything to her? Her prayers are mighty winds for us, which we cannot resist, and the very strength of our will that she possesses is for us empire, command. She has all the rights to impetrate it, because she possessed it on earth and she possesses it in heaven. Hence, as possessor, she can give what is hers, so much so that this kingdom shall be called the kingdom of the celestial empress. She shall act as queen amid her children on earth. She shall place at their disposal her seas of graces, of sanctity, of power. She shall put to flight all the enemies. She shall raise her children on her lap. She shall hide them within her light, covering them with her love, nourishing them with her own hands, with the food of the divine will. What shall this mother and queen not do in the midst of this kingdom, her children and her people? She shall give unheard of graces, surprises never before seen, miracles that shall shake heaven and earth. We shall give her all the free field, that she may form for us the kingdom of our will upon earth. She shall be the guide, the true model, and it shall also be the kingdom of the celestial sovereign queen. Therefore you, Luisa, too, pray together with her, and in due time you shall obtain the intent. You have reached the end of the Prodigies of the Blessed Virgin Mary, Volume 33, Part 2. Fiat.